Hi, everybody. Welcome to Trailblazing Tuesdays with your host, Latresa Rice. I am your certified mindset coach. I help bereaved Christians regain hope by rediscovering their identity and healing through writing. Listen, this is it, y'all. This is the last segment in the Plant series. I am so excited that you've been rocking out with me. Those of you who are catching this on replay, put in the comment section hashtag replay so that I can come back and greet you at a later time. Again, I am your host, Latresa Rice, your certified mindset coach. I help bereaved Christians regain hope by rediscovering their identity and healing through writing. We have been rocking out during this plant series. We talked about the importance of preparing for what you desire. We talked about the importance of learning your craft. We talked about the importance of agreeing with God. We talked about the importance of noticing your wins and opportunities. And tonight we are dealing with the T in the process. Tonight we are dealing with teaching your solutions to others, to somebody by writing your story. So tonight we're dealing with T. So if you want to put that, matter of fact, you can put that in the comment section. T dash teach your solutions to someone by writing your story. That is what we're dealing with tonight. And if we're going to teach our solutions to someone by writing our story, then we have to first get a clear view. We have to view, right? Some of you started out this year and you're like, you know what, I did the preparation. I did that. I'm already studying things to learn my craft. You won't be finished learning your craft. Listen, especially if you're working on your first book and you have dealt with the loss and you've been going through the process of healing, but now you're saying, you know what, I'm ready to get even deeper in my healing journey to wholeness by writing my story. I'm ready to experience a whole nother level of healing, but I need some more steps. So now you're taking some time to notice your wins and your opportunities. And today we are now looking at teaching your solutions to someone by writing your story. And what that looks like is you have to view. So the first thing that we need to do, if we're going to teach our solutions to someone by writing our story, I need you to put in the comment section V dash visualize a better outcome. V dash visualize a better outcome. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. And some of you, you've been following the series, so you know a little bit. But I'm going to tell you about in 2020 when I lost my grandmother, right? My grandmother died, and then roughly a month later, my new husband died from COVID-19. And I remember struggling to visualize a better outcome. For me, the better outcome would have been she's still here, right? And that would have been the better outcome for me. Some of you who have experienced a loss, the better outcome for you is like, wait, all I can see is they gone. You talking about what better outcome? What could possibly be a better outcome if I don't have this loved one in my life? For one, if we're going to visualize a better outcome, we also have to look at things from the perspective of the person that we lost, right? We got to look at it from their perspective. Hi, Dad, I see you. Thank you so much. So I had to think about some of the things that my grandmother was saying at the time. She was saying things like, I'm tired. She was saying things like, I'm sick of being the doctor's pincushion. Every time I go to these doctors, they got a new report. For quite a few years, the doctors couldn't even find a heartbeat for her. And she would laugh about it. And I remember just listening to her and being frustrated because I'm looking at the sheets. She had all these different pages that listed all the ailments that she was dealing with, right? And in my mind, I'm like, oh no, my mom died when I was 7. My dad is deceased. I cannot lose grandma, right? Can't do it. My husband was doing his best to be supportive and all of that. And it was, how do I visualize a better outcome? She left and I was like, wait a minute, where do I go from here? What elders are available for me to reach out to, considering these losses? Do I give up on all the other dreams? Some of you have been challenged with similar thoughts because that loss was significant for you. It's difficult to visualize a better outcome. But if you're going to get through this, and if you're going to write your story, you have to visualize a better outcome. You may be saying to yourself, look, how do I do that? Right? Look, this thing is dark. I want my loved one here. Well, in order to visualize a better outcome, you're going to need to see things from their perspective of what they were dealing with at the time. And you're also going to need to look at what you know about them. What are some of the lessons and the things that you are able to glean from them? What are some memories that you have? If you're going to visualize a better outcome, you have to visualize an outcome in which you are now standing following this significant loss or setback that you may have experienced. For some of us, that setback, after that person died, after that person left us, we dealt with financial hardship. Where if we're going to visualize a better outcome, you have to see yourself in a better financial position. And then you're going to need to take the steps to get there. But it's important to see it first. You can't be stuck and dealing with your reality at the moment that you don't even see a better future. Because if you stay stuck in this present moment and you don't make any steps towards anything else, you'll stay here. And this is not meant for a position for you to stay. It's a position for a period for you to pause so that you can move forward. You do need to deal with the grief. You do need to deal with the loss. You need to deal with that hardship, but it's not meant for you to stay in that position. You are meant to rise from here. And if we're going to plant, and right now we're dealing with the T, we're at the final chapter. We're dealing with the T in this word plant, which means we have to teach the solutions to someone by writing our story. There are things that you were able to learn from your deceased loved one. There are so many gems. And sometimes when we're in a cave, like we're dealing with a hardship, we're dealing with darkness, it's hard to see the diamonds, or it's hard to see the gems that are stuck in the rock. But it's important for you to visualize a better future. What does that future look like for you? If you're dealing with depression, maybe your better future looks like joy. It looks like periods of happiness. It looks like a period where you've been healed from this area. It looks like you progressing. If you're dealing with financial hardship, maybe if you're visualizing a better future, it looks like you being able to give more. And I'm not just saying to the church, I'm saying give more of your time, give more of the instruction and lessons that you've learned. When you are writing your story, you are in a position of giving. Let me just put this out here. If your sole purpose of writing your story is for economic gain, then you've missed the mark. Don't even write it. I'm going to be real with you. Don't even write it, because that book is about more than just you. That book is about lives that God desires to change through the lessons that you've been able to glean as you walked out your testimony. You've walked out your story. It's not about you. Yes, you'll reap bountifully. There's over 7 streams of income attached to even one book. Yes, you will experience some healing in the midst, because you have to confront some things. If you're going to write your story, you have to really confront some things that you've dealt with. You have to confront yourself, because sometimes self is the hardest thing to overcome. When we're dealing with grief or we're dealing with progressing, you got to confront the person in the mirror. So here's the thing. Your book goes beyond just you, but you have to deal with you to even get to that gem that it's going to produce. So the first phase in this process of teaching your solution to someone by writing your story is to visualize a better future. I need you to see it. You need to see it. I want you to think about what God said to Abraham. He would give him as far as he could see, right? You need to see it, even if it's not physically manifested. You need to see a better outcome, visualize a better outcome for yourself. You need to see it. And some things that you can do to help you see it is you can recreate a new vision board. That's important. So that every time you walk past a certain area, you're confronted with the vision of a better outcome that you see. All right. So first thing we need to do is visualize a better outcome. The second thing we're going to need to do, if we are going to teach if you're going to teach your solutions to someone by writing your story, the second thing you need to do, I need you to put this in the comment section. I dash implement the lessons learned. I dash implement the lessons learned. You're probably thinking to yourself, okay, what you talking about? Let me tell you what I'm talking about. When I was going through the process of burying my grandmother, I had to go through all of her mail. I had to sign different paperwork, all the different stuff that I needed to do to have everything in order, right? But to my surprise, she had already paid for a lot of stuff. Her burial plot was paid. She had a list that she created of all the different bills that she wanted me to pay off for the house and all this stuff. She had a plan written. She knew exactly which song she wanted sang at her funeral, who she wanted to preach the eulogy at her funeral. She had a list for how many minutes people could get to speak. Like, she mapped out everything. For me, going through that process, one of the lessons that I learned is it's important for us to take the weight off our loved ones that are still remaining here on the earth by making sure we do our best to properly plan our transitions. That was a lesson I learned. She was a private person, so she didn't tell me all that information, right? She didn't tell me all of that stuff. She started telling me as things got worse with her health, where stuff was located. And that's important too. So another lesson I learned is somebody needs to know where things are beyond just you, which means you have to issue trust to somebody regarding your affairs after you leave from here. So there were so many different lessons that I learned even in the midst of dealing with loss. We deal with loss, but it's important for us to also look for the lessons that we learn and implement them. So some of the lessons that I also learned when I was looking through things, y'all, I noticed that my grandmother had paid for funerals for people in the different communities where she lived. If the parents could not afford to pay, like she had a newspaper articles from different things she had paid for, the parent couldn't afford to pay for that child's funeral, and she paid it. Now she earned $30,000 a year. She got all of these kids, right? She got these grandbabies that she's raising, but because of the way she saved and she invested, she was able to be a blessing to somebody else. So going through mail and things like that, another lesson I learned was that it's important to save your money, be a good steward over the resources that God has given you. Not only so that you can bury yourself or you can do your final things that you need to have somebody do, but at the same time, so you can be a blessing to somebody else. And she never announced any of that stuff, right? So there's so many different lessons when you sit back and you look at the loss and you see it from a different lens. You can see the preparation that the person had put in place for you to live a whole successful life. So what are the lessons learned and how can you implement them? So the second phase in this process of teaching your solutions to someone by writing your story is I-implement the lessons learned. So I had to start checking out things and saving stuff and start really making sure I'm mapping things out, because that's a lesson that I learned from her, even in the midst of that loss. So if I'm learning this lesson, then my actions need to line up with what I say I'm learning, right? So for me, I had to go out and get that life insurance. I got a different life insurance policy. For me, there were things that I really wanted to happen that at the time I'm like, wait a minute, I only have this one insurance policy here, but I don't need all my ducks in one basket. I don't need all my stuff in one basket. Because I also looked at the fact that she had income in multiple different areas and she had stuff designated to different children. It was amazing to see how much she prepared to transition from here. So that is a lesson that I could implement. And the reason why you want to implement the lessons learned is because if you're going to teach someone the solutions that you have learned by writing your story, then these things that will be in your story, you need to be able to teach it from a position of power. Not just I saw it, not just I heard about it, but I did it myself. And I know it works. So you have to implement the lessons learned. The third thing that we need to do, if we are going to teach our solutions to someone by writing our story, the third thing you need to do, put in the comment section, enter at least 3 new emails into your email list weekly. Enter at least 3 new emails into your email list weekly. Of course, you want more, right? You want more because you need to be in a position that when it's time to release this book, you can send an announcement out to your email list, making them feel more special and having more priority. And they will be the first ones because they've already been experiencing things from you. They're the first ones to go and get it, right? But you have to build the list before the book is even ready. If you're going to teach your solutions to others by writing your story, then you have to prepare before it's even finished. Your story is not finished even after you finish writing it. It's not finished. It's not finished. So you have to make sure that you are properly preparing before it's released. And one thing that you could do to do that, put an E in the comment section, enter at least 3 new emails into your email list weekly. That's important. All right. So we're going to shoot for more, but that's your goal to at least have those. So you can check that off. Okay. Last but not least, if you are going to teach your solutions to someone by writing your story, the next thing you need to do is put a W in that comment section and put write your story. W dash write your story. I've had some people say, you know what? I know I need to write my story, but I'm not that good of a writer. You don't have to be. There are other tools and things that if you work with a writing coach, such as myself, you can learn those different avenues and things that are available to you to get this story written, even if you feel that you're not strong enough or in that position to do it. It's still possible. We got to work on your mindset. First and foremost, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. You are not weak and feeble in a position where you can't do anything. You can do anything you put your mind to. But at the same time, you are not. Let me just put this out here. Independent is a lie. God created us to be interdependent. So why are you constantly trying to do things on your own without any assistance at all? We are created to be in community. We need one another. There's somebody that's already done what you're desired to do. But if you're stuck in pride and you don't reach out for a proper assistance, then it's going to take you longer to get to where you need to be. Make sure you are writing your story. If you're in a position right now where you're like, I'm doing my best. I know I need to write my story. I'm doing my best to write my story, but I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Like, listen, I've been there. There are certain parts in my story that was so hard. For example, in my first book, I took roughly 6 months off for writing. I almost didn't finish that book because there are some parts in there that was very difficult to deal with, but that's an aspect of the healing process. If you have a coach that you're working with, then you can get past those periods and you can still finish. It is so important that you finish what you started. Somebody is waiting for the solutions that are present in your story. And if you don't finish it, they can't get it. And not only do they not get the solutions that are in your story, you also don't reap the income that God was sending your way by their purchase of the story. So both people lose. Let's continue to do what we're called to do. Write your story. Okay, so I hope you all have been blessed by this segment of your Trailblazing Tuesdays with Latresa. As we talked about the P.L.A.N.T series, this is our closeout of the P.L.A.N.T series. I hope it has blessed you. There will be a workshop dealing with that at a later time where we can dive in deeper so that you can map out your personal journey of how you're going to plant, especially for the next year. But today, now that we've dealt with the P.L.A.N.T series, let me tell you about something that's coming up. October 6th through 8th, I am hosting the Clarity in the Pen conference. Listen, you do not want to miss this conference. Those who attend this conference will experience some breakthroughs in writing with regards to writing their story and their mindset. Those who are attending this conference, I have a relationship strategist that is going to assist them, those, especially if they lost a spouse and they desire a chapter 2 to remarry. Those who are attending this conference will learn more about marketing their book and copywriting. Listen, if you're planning to write your story, don't miss the Clarity in the Pen conference. Another aspect, it's a separate part, but it's an aspect of the conference, is the Writer's Ball. The Writer's Ball, you can attend without attending the conference, but there are only a few spots available. Those who attend the conference automatically get admission to the Writer's Ball. However, there are a few spots available for those who say, you know what, I don't want to write my story, but I do want to come dressed up in a costume of a book that I read, a character in a book that I read, and dine like royalty and just have fun. I do want to do that. You need to attend the Writer's Ball. If you're interested in those things, I want you to visit royalclarityview.as.me, and you can enter this code. I'm going to give you a code. If you enter this code between now and August 31st, you'll be able to get a discount on your admission into the Writer's Ball, and if you choose a discount on your admission into the Clarity in the Pen conference. Okay. Now, here's the thing. You can reserve your spot today using this coupon code by only paying a deposit, and then you can have payment arrangements if you want for the remaining balance. Don't miss the opportunity. Here's the coupon code. RCV CIP1. That's your discount code. RCV CIP1. Enter that, pay a deposit to reserve your spot, and I will see you at the conference, and I will see you at the Writer's Ball. I hope this has blessed you. Have an amazing night. Bye-bye.